This is going to be ridiculous, but Liverpool could have 10 players leave this summer and bring 10 players in. This could be Liverpool's biggest summer ever. Now, I think this is a ridiculous idea, but I thought it was fun to put together. So let's dive right in, guys. Here we go. I've got the 10 out, 10 in. I'm going to compare the outs versus the ins, and then we're going to look at the net spend at the end of this crazy transfer window for Liverpool. Let's see who goes first. It's Caoimhin Kelleher, probably the easiest one to predict. With Georgia Mamardashvili coming in this summer, I don't think Kelleher is going to put up with that. I think he needs to go get some first team football. I think he's made it clear in the past. We love Caoimhin. I'd love to keep him. He would be the most amazing number 2 or number 3 in the world like he has been, but I think he's going for 35 million. I think Alisson Becker has to stay. Because Alisson is still super duper good. But I think Kelleher goes out, and then of course it's Mamardashvili in at 30 million. He's already done. It's already signed, sealed, and delivered. He's coming in this summer. And we have not yet paid that fee, I don't think. So that is going to be transacted this summer. Number 2 is going to be Joe Gomez. I just don't see this guy sticking around and being part of Arneslot's plans. Not least because he's just a guy who cannot stay healthy. Can't stay on the pitch, and I think Arne Slot will not put up with players who just can't stay fit. I don't think he will do much with that. So I think Gomez leaves. I think they could get 25 million at least for an English defender who was part of the English squad in the last major tournament. I think Joe Gomez, even though he is injury prone, is still a very good defender, very versatile, and I think another English club will come in and easily pay 25 million pounds for Joe Gomez. Well, who comes in to replace him? I think it's Jorel Hato, the Dutch youngster, currently plays for Ajax. I think we could get him in at probably 30 million pounds. This is a guy who's very similar to Gomez as far as versatility goes. He's a left-footed defender. He can play left back. He can play on that left center back. Probably could go anywhere, honestly, across that back line. And he's a player who has really good leadership qualities, has a really good head on his shoulders, and I think Hato would be a fantastic signing for Liverpool. Another Dutch youngster coming into the squad to fit right alongside Cody Gakpo, Gravenberch, Virgil van Dijk. Okay, number 3. Kostas Tsimikas. I think his time is at an end. He's been really good as the deputy there along Andy Robertson on that left back side. But I think he's gone, probably around 15 million pounds. I don't know. Liverpool players I think could have just a little bit of an extra, fee surplus on that charge there. So Tsimikas out for 15 million. Who comes in to replace Tsimikas? Of course, it's Milos Kerkez, probably the player that has been linked with Liverpool more than any other this entire season. So I think Milos Kerkez comes in and probably takes that starting role away from Andy Robertson right now. Right straight away. And Andy Robertson becomes the mentor, kind of the coach on the sideline, comes in, of course, and gets playing time. But I think Andy Robertson should stay. I think he should continue to be that locker room guy that we know he can be. Great presence in and around the team. And he can be a leader. He can be the guy to kind of hand down and pass along to guys like Kerkez and Hato. So, all right, number 4. This one hurts me. I think Harvey Elliott's going to go. I just don't see a pathway forward for a guy that literally cannot get game time from Arne Slot. Now, I think Arne Slot shouldn't sell this guy. I don't think Liverpool should get rid of Harvey Elliott. But when you've got a guy who looks great every time he comes in, but then gets no playing time, I think it's just clear that Harvey Elliott he's just not part of the future plans. And I don't agree with that, but I'm not Liverpool's coach. So it is what it is. Now, to bring in this guy, Jeremy Frimpong, that could be interesting. A guy who I think is probably ready to move on from Leverkusen and, could probably fill in a void. My lips are chapped. Could probably fill a void up on that attacking midfield position. Could probably come in for Mo Salah at times. Very versatile player. I know he's played right back. I don't see him doing that, but he could in a pinch, I suppose. So Jeremy Frimpong could be an interesting player to bring in. 45 million for Harvey Elliott. is probably a little high, but man, I think the potential is there. He's still so young. He's got so much experience. I hope it doesn't happen, but I think it will. All right, Diogo Jota is leaving this summer, I believe, for £45 million. I think there are other clubs out there, not least his former club, Wolverhampton Wanderers, who will come in and secure Jota's services. Jota's a proven Premier League striker. Hasn't been at his best this season, but there are going to be teams who say, yeah, we're going to take Jota. He's going to give us an instant boost. There will be teams, I think, eager to sign this guy. And then who do we bring in to replace him? I think it's Benjamin Sesko, the £50 million striker. Really, really good. He is still pretty young, and I think he could get the job done. He's just kind of has that ruthless nature to him that I think we've been just without. We've just been without it this season. And I think this guy could come in, and I think he could do a really good job. Maybe he's not the guy, but, for a guy who's scored 12 times, has 5 assists this season, and he's 21 years old, the Slovenian, I think it'd be a really interesting guy to bring in, and Leipzig produces really good stuff. They produce really good players. So I say get him in. I think he's like 6'4", so he's got a big frame. I think he could be a really good target up there. All right, this is the first 5 guys. Let's look at, so far, the net spent. So we've only spent £35 million with those 5 out and those 5 in. Let's dive in to the second half here. Number 6, it's Darwin Núñez. Another player that kind of breaks my heart to see him go, but I just don't see the plans in place for Darwin Núñez. We haven't seen a lot of him over the past couple months. Even with him being healthy, I think Darwin Núñez is probably set to leave, and I think we could recoup about £55 million. There are going to be teams out there that will take Darwin Núñez off of our hands, and I think we replace him with Matheus Cunha, a Premier League proven striker. I think this is super important because when players come into the Premier League, it is difficult. It is difficult to adapt. Not every player has difficulty, but especially when you're a striker, it is difficult to adapt to the rigors of the Premier League and the rigors of being a Liverpool player. I think Cunha can do the job. Let's get another Brazilian forward into this team and see what we can do with a guy like Cunha leading our front line. I think he would start. I think he'd be our starting number 9. And look at that upgrade. Look at that upgrade. Cunha for Darwin. I think we would be a better team. All right. Then I think it's Gerald Kwanzaa, a young English center back. I think he could command around £40 million. And I think there would be teams eager to sign this guy. He hasn't gotten a shot under arneslot, but he was looking very, very promising at the end of Jurgen Klopp's reign. And I think we would replace him with Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth. I think Dean Huijsen, oh man, he's one of the players I want the most this summer because I think he would be the guy to take over for Virgil van Dijk in 2 years. I think Dean Huijsen's the guy. He's got 6'5", 6'6" frame, still very young. He's 20 years old, and he's done really, really well this season, Premier League proven, and I think he would fit really, really well in our defense, and I think he's a great option and a great player for Arne Slot's defense moving forward. Okay, 3 more. Let's move on. Stefan Bajcetic comes back from loan and unfortunately doesn't have what it takes to stay in the Liverpool squad. I think he does get sold maybe for around £25 million. I think he's, there's probably interest out there. I think he's got some flashes of brilliance. And I really like this guy. I wouldn't mind, if Arne Slot thinks he's good enough to come in and be a defensive midfielder for Liverpool, I'd be thrilled. But I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen the spark and the consistency, and he's injury prone. So I think Liverpool let him go for £25 million. And who do we bring in? We bring in Angelo Stiller. We bring in the 24-year-old German midfielder who has been turning heads this season across Europe, and I think this guy would be a really, really good option. Not a defensive midfielder, but can come in and challenge maybe the Soboslais, maybe the Alexis McAllisters, give them a little bit of pressure, a little bit of competition, And I think Angelo Stiller would be a fantastic signing. He's not that expensive either. I think he could do it. I think he could do a really good job. One of the best passers in all of Europe. All right, then I think Ben Doak does the same thing as Bajcetic, comes back from loan. He was, tearing up the championship this season with Middlesbrough, but I just don't see a pathway forward. 25 million might be a little high for him, for a player that did pretty good in the championship. Maybe it's 15 to 20, but I think Ben Doak will be sold. I don't think he's the Mo Salah heir. And I think we bring in this guy who's already in our team. It's Rio Gamoa. If there is one guy that Liverpool should play more next season, it's not Ben Doak. I think it's Rio Gamoa. This kid, every time I see a new clip of this kid, he's just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. He's got loads of talent. And I think, is he 17? Is he 17 yet? Rio Gamoa. He is 16 years old. And I think he'll, at some point next season, he'll turn 17. But I think this guy is ready. He's not going to be starter for Liverpool, but get him some minutes in the Premier League. Get him some minutes in Europe. Get him some minutes in the cup games. Man, I think we got a real talent on our hands. And you look at what, other teams across Europe are doing. They're starting to play these players a lot younger. Look at Lamine Yamal. I mean, probably not a great example, but he's 17 and he is absolutely electric. I think Rio Gamoa can be that and can do that work for Liverpool. And we've already got him, so that's great. All right, last one here. Who is the last one out? It is going to be Endo, 20 million pounds, probably a little high, but hey, this guy's great. Endo's a great defensive midfielder. I think there are teams across Europe that would pay 20 million pounds to get Endo into their team. He is a leader. He's an international captain, and he has done a great job for Liverpool when called upon. Just hasn't been called upon very much. So I think Endo's gone. And yet another youngster from inside the squad already, Trey Naoni. Get this guy some more opportunities next season. I think we've all liked what we've seen from Trey Naoni. 17 years old, so he will, probably be turning 18. Look, Rio Gamoa, Trey Naoni, they're still growing. They're still developing physically. And so I think you guys, you got to get these guys opportunities at some point. I don't want to see these guys just waste away in the academy. And I think Arneslot has plans for him. So there we go. So we bring back 2 loanies, we sell them out, we get 2 of the youngsters to come up through the squad. Now, the total net spend here, guys, the total net spend for the 10 out, 10 in, here it is, 10 million pounds. Can you believe that? Now, if you want to kind of round down and round up, because I probably got some of these valuations wrong, hey, we're probably coming in at less than 50 million pounds net spend, okay? So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And I'd love to know what you guys think. I know this is a ridiculous notion. I know this is not going to happen in totality. But I thought this was a really interesting exercise. I thought it was fun. And I'd love to know what you guys think. Get your comments in below. And as always, up the red.